Why boundaries as a volunteer tech can be difficult. Okay, my name is Nate with the Volunteer Tech Vlog on the Live Sound 101 YouTube channel. Thanks for clicking over. I wanted to talk about boundaries and why they're difficult in this episode, this vlog, as I'm driving. Now, I know recording videos in the car is, quote, dangerous, just like texting is dangerous. But if you're smart about it, if you just record your camera, if you mount your camera to your dashboard and press record, and then just chat as if you were talking to somebody. I'm not holding anything, I got both hands on the steering wheel. I am talking like I would talk to somebody who is sitting in the passenger seat going for a ride in my car. So that's my philosophy on it. Yes, it can be dangerous, but it doesn't have to be. You can be smart about it. Anyway, I mean, maybe some people can't handle the distraction, but anyway, why boundaries are difficult. So I think for a couple reasons. The first being, if you're a volunteer and you're a volunteer tech in a church situation, doing audio, doing video, doing words on the screen, doing lighting, doing camera work, monitoring the live stream that's being broadcast out to the World Wide Web. Wow, it's pretty sunny right now. Whatever you're doing in the church tech world, it's difficult, I think, because as a volunteer, by nature, you're not required to be a professional. So you're doing something very technical that you might not have professional knowledge on. And so you may be asked to do things that you don't even realize are like impossible to do. Or not impossible to do, but like you're dealing with people who may ask you to do things who may not fully understand what they're asking. And you may, because you're a good-willed, good-spirited person, you may say yes to doing something that you don't even fully understand the whole tech ramifications of, how difficult it may be, how time-consuming it may be. So there's this whole, like, in the volunteer space, I think there's this whole issue like that where you might be asked to do something that you don't even fully understand, and the person who's asking you might not fully understand it. And I'm not saying this out of like a specific example or trying to throw anyone under the bus. There's not like an example in my life that I'm thinking of right now, but it's just something that I've observed over my time volunteering. So I think that's the first one. There's probably a couple other reasons why. So boundaries can be difficult. So that's one reason why boundary can be difficult, is you don't even really know where a healthy boundary is in terms of what's possible. And so you'll try to do things that are on a shoestring budget that really, if you're going to try to do it, requires more resources, but you might not understand those resources. So that's like kind of like the first one. But well, as always, love to hear your thoughts on this. I think the other thing that another thing that's difficult is just like, so we just had our calendar. I got it right here. I got a copy of it right here. We just had our calendar for the next trimester. So we do, instead of splitting up the year into quarters, we split it up into trimesters, 3 of those, and by name, and we plan out at least the tech coverage or the tech responsibilities for 3-4 month chunks of time. So we'll know for the next 4 months who's on as an audio tech, who's on as the video, what we call the video tech roles. Those are the 2 main roles that we have right now, and we've got limited resources, limited volunteers. So what we do is we pool, an email goes out before the trimester begins and says, it just says something very simple like, send me your unavailable So an email will go out and we'll say, you know, send me your unavailability. So I'll you know, look at my calendar, look 4 months down the road. Oh yeah, I'm going on vacation on this day and this day, so I'm unavailable for, you know, audio tech coverage on those days. Send that email to Dave, and then everybody else will send their unavailabilities. And then from that information, it's just assumed that you'll be available for the rest of the time. And then the person setting up the schedule compiles all this information, lists the unavailabilities, and then fills in the blanks and just pops people in and tries to keep it, you know, spaced out accordingly, so it's not the same person doing it for a whole, you know, bunch of weeks in a row. And so boundaries are a good thing. So Josh had been doing audio kind of in this like emergency fill-in role. Like, it's not really his job as office administrator. He's got a lot of other things he's worried about on a weekly basis, but he can do audio, so he had filled in for a while. And he's going to be doing worship leading with Kate, his wife. And so that takes precedence. So his boundary was, okay, if I'm leading worship, I'm in the rotation to lead, I can't be up there doing sound, because then that's A, he can't do them both at the same time, and because there's a conflict there, and then B, it's just a lot of extra work. It's a lot of time to be in both of those rotations. So he set up a healthy boundary. Well, I would say, he said, you know what, I can't do audio anymore for this next round, this next trimester coming up. And so that leaves 2 people to cover audio. So that basically means it's just going to be every other week, me, David, me, David, me, David, me, David. It's just, and so that brings up an interesting situation, because now I have a kind of a boundary that is up against. So the nice thing, I will say, why I love my church and the community here and everyone, is because I can bring this up to my pastor and say, hey, this isn't cool. I just realized that I'm going to be doing it for the next 4 months. I'm on audio every other week. And that's kind of up against one of my boundaries, where I like to do it twice a week at the most. So that's kind of cool if I do that. Like boop, I'm getting really distracted here. But anyway, it's just kind of cool. Boop. Now you see me? No, you don't. No, you don't. Now you see me? Okay, I'm sorry. My brain doesn't work that well in the morning, as you might be able to tell. So probably not the best time to record vlog videos. I don't know why it took me over a year and a half to figure that out. All that to say, boundaries are a good thing. And if you present a boundary to a leader or a pastor, and they kind of push back as a volunteer and say, you know, give you like resistance, I think that's a good red flag. So I think it's a very good thing that when I present a boundary, people who are leading over and, you know, pastoring this church, welcome that. They think, wow, that's good. This person's trying to, you know, have margin in their life. They're trying to make sure they don't get burnt out. If your pastor or team leader, whoever's, you know, leading you or organizing or managing or supervising, recognizes that you recognizing boundaries is actually a good thing because it's healthy and it keeps you from getting burned out, that is awesome. If they don't, and they just try to push you and try to resist your boundaries and say, well, you know, we really need you to do it, I think there's a problem there. So anyway, why boundaries can be difficult, because there's limited resources, especially when you become the go-to guy. If you become the go-to person, a lot of times people come to you with requests and they just don't understand how many requests you deal with on a regular basis. They might think, you know, well, gee, I don't ask very often, so I'll just ask. But they don't realize that you had 10 other requests that week. So that's I would say another reason to get back on topic here of why it can be difficult to set up boundaries, especially as a volunteer. But it's important. You got to do it. You got to set up healthy boundaries. You got to know your limits, and you got to make sure you spend time with your family. And that's one of my main goals, is to make sure I'm not just, like right now, like my family's not here. They're still in bed sleeping, and they're, you know, my wife's going to pack up the kids and come to church on her own with the kiddos, and I'll be up in the media loft mixing.